Hey everybody, Mandy Ray of Ecstatic Astrology here to talk about the full moon in Capricorn. I am recording this on Tuesday, July 12th, around 5 p.m. in Birmingham, Alabama, and the full moon is tomorrow around 1:30 p.m. in Central US time on July 13th. That's Wednesday. It's going to be a full moon hump day for us. It's a full moon in Capricorn. And it is indicative of great change in our lives, I believe. So let's talk about all of what goes into this full moon because there is a lot. So in astrology, when a planet is making geometric connections to a lot of other planetary bodies, luminaries, points in space, we could go on with the lingo, it is significant, especially a lunation, a full moon, new moon. And I like to, even though they happen every month, right? Like there's a full moon every month, there's a new moon every month. And some months though, we have more than one. It's a blue moon, right? But that being said, each lunation is important for our personal growth, for what's going on in the world. And it's a good vibe check. Okay. So that's what I like the moon phases for that. That's why I do new and full moon videos. And this full moon is extremely empowering, extremely transformative, perhaps a little shifty. There is even some mysticism, perhaps a little confusion involved, letting go. Some people may have greater clarity in this. And so I'm going to show you the chart because I want you to see what I'm talking about, where I get all of this. I don't just make it up. Okay, so here we go. This is the chart, I believe, exact chart for the full moon. I'm a few minutes off here. So again, 1:30, there we go. 1:37 p.m. Central US time. And I'm just going to start by breaking it apart and breaking it down because as you can see, there's a lot of lines. Those are aspects. There's a lot of archetypal significance in these aspects, and it's going to be a mouthful. So first of all, the sun and Mercury, both in Cancer. Cancer is a sign of emotion, nurturing, emotional security, security in general, comfort, nourishment. It is cardinal water, so think a flowing river. And to have both the sun and Mercury there means we're going to have a Mercury cazimi soon when Mercury and the sun come together, which is a time of epiphany, and that happens after the full moon. But right now we've got both kind of hanging out together in Cancer. And then that brings us to the moon, which is opposite the sun. So the moon, it rules Cancer. Okay, its domain is Cancer, but it's not in Cancer, is it? It's in the opposite sign of Capricorn. Doesn't really necessarily operate to its capabilities or in its normal mode. Let's just put it that way. When it's in a sign that it's uncomfortable in. So we're talking Capricorn, we're talking Scorpio. Those two signs are kind of difficult for the moon for a transit. Capricorn is a cold sign. It's cardinal earth. Think a snowy mountaintop, right? And in such a cold sign, sometimes emotions can be restricted. Sometimes you feel stifled. It's Saturn ruled. So there's a lot of pressure. However, we've got this other planetary body here. And it does allow us to feel into structure, feel into responsibility. And so that is a necessary component of reality. Not always fun, but it's necessary. But we also have Pluto there. And Pluto is transformation. Pluto was the god of the underworld. Pluto goes to the underworld. It's kind of like the Tower card in tarot. You see the building in flames kind of coming down. So, ooh, intimidating, right? But it can empower. And I do like Pluto for empowerment's sake. Now, in the sign of Capricorn, Capricorn being structure, so think government, think banks, Capricorn is a sign of success. So with a full moon in Capricorn, we're driven towards success. We're driven towards climbing the mountain. That's not comfortable for the moon because the moon likes to be, chilling in the river. Okay. But I think this full moon is extremely powerful because it's approaching Pluto. Now let's talk about orbs. Okay. This is an astrological term. Orbs are how far apart in degree planets can be. Are they active? Is it too far apart? This is only 6 degrees apart. So I would say, yeah, it's conjunct Pluto, this full moon. So it's empowering. It encourages to take authority back, perhaps, to feel empowered, to look at what we allow to have power over us and to say, you know what, my needs, Cancer, because that's where this seed was planted in Cancer, my needs, my emotional needs, my comfort, my nourishment. We planted a new seed there around June 28th with the new moon in Cancer. And in order to achieve that, we actually have to achieve. We have to empower ourselves. We have to say, no, I am not going to let you oppress me anymore. Or, you could also say we have to contend with that. That is what this full moon is. We are seeing to the very depths of something that maybe we need to change, a situation we may need to get out of, a situation in which we need to claim our authority, our power. And, do I look at this as like a doomsday full moon? Absolutely not. I think it's actually, necessary. We have to see the flaws in our structures and say, I cannot allow it to perpetuate. Now, Pluto is retrograde. Some people think it makes the planetary energy stronger. But I think the other important Pluto point here is that it is also the United States Pluto return. I believe that was exactly yesterday or the day before. A Pluto return, and I think there will be one more, is when Pluto comes back around to the place it was when either you were born or let's say the United States was created. So it's like a 240-year orbit. I could have that wrong. 244, 240, something like that. Do the math. We know 1776, right? So with it being the United States Pluto return, as huge of an entity as the United States is, I think it's even more significant this full moon is conjoined to Pluto, especially for the United States and globally. The United States is a powerhouse, right? Globally speaking, our economy, the values that we have. And it's so funny because let's take a look really quick. I'm just going to veer away from this full moon chart and look at US Sibley chart here. Pluto is in the second house of values, whole sign for the United States. Values are really on the line, aren't they? That's where the Pluto return is. That's my chart. Didn't mean to do that. Pluto, Pluto. You see, Pluto return. The outside wheel, that's where things are right now. And there's where the moon is today, because I have today pulled up. So you can see it's the United States Pluto return, and then there's going to be a full moon here in the area of values, finances, assets for the United States. So obviously economic issues, obviously fundamental value questions for the United States. Now let's think about that in regards to our own lives, right? So we're not in a Pluto return. I think it's pretty impossible. Maybe one day humans will reach their Pluto return. That would be pretty cool. Maybe some turtles have. I think there's really old turtles. Definitely some trees have had their Pluto return. So this is a situation in which we are intertwined with, and I think a lot of my viewers are from the United States. I don't know that I have a lot from outside of this country. And if you are, please bear with me because I am talking to people who live in the United States because our karma is intertwined. We live here. We were born here, a lot of us. Even if you immigrated here, this is intertwined with our story. So what this could mean for the United States, I think it is a transformation of values, maybe a redirection things had to crumble a little bit. This Pluto return has been going on for a little while. We had a Saturn Pluto conjunction there in 2019. So this energy has been very present in Capricorn. What has authority over us? What are our structures? Are they supporting us? We have to change these structures, these rules in some cases. And that is, and it's also people vying for power, power imbalances, maybe us feeling disempowered, maybe feeling more empowered to change things. And that is why I say Pluto being transformation, this is an extremely transformative full moon where we realize we have to change some things. This aggression cannot stand, man. I think that's from The Big Lebowski, sorry. But it's the truth. It's like, where are we feeling either disempowered or feeling the need for empowerment in our lives? What has authority over us? Where do we need to stand up and take authority back, claim our own personal authority? And maybe change our own rules or look at the structures that we have built up around us in order to protect our needs. Are we protecting our needs? Are we protecting the ability to nourish, to nurture? So does this not also tie into the Supreme Court decision? It absolutely does. We're talking about Cancer, which is the sign of the mother, Saturn, which is the sign of the authoritarian, right? Capricorn. So I think it's extremely interesting that we've got this happening right this moment, this full moon. There's the January 6th hearings, there's Supreme Court issues going on. And as a collective group, we need to really examine what our values are. So speaking of values, let's bring in the other thing going on here, which is that the moon is trine Uranus and the North Node. Now, the North Node is an eclipse point. It is the direction we are developing. We are headed in this direction. They look like horseshoes. The North Node is always facing up. The South Node looks like a cup. Okay, maybe you'll remember that. So the North Node is what we're throwing our weight into. Let's put it that way, putting all of our energy into. Uranus is change. Both Uranus and Pluto can represent change. Uranus is a quicker change. Uranus is a sudden, unexpected change. Uranus is innovation. It can be lightning. It can be shocking. And in an earth sign, think earthquake, right? So with the North Node and Uranus there, we are heading in the direction of change as souls, as a collective consciousness. So the moon trine that is just even more, oh, we're in for some change. Now, Uranus and Taurus being the Earth, we just had the James Webb Space Telescope pictures come out. It's pretty cool. Innovation, Uranus. We've got economy, Taurus. We've got values, Taurus. Self-worth, Taurus. Comfort, survival, Taurus. Do we have what we need? Taurus and Cancer work pretty well together, and so this makes it a sextile. These are our essential needs, our desires for comfort, but that's changing, see? So we need to keep a flexible, open mind. Now, find where Taurus is in your chart, find where Capricorn is in your chart, and you'll know some themes, and I will go through the rising signs when I get done with my spiel on the overall full moon. Okay, so what next? Neptune. Shoot, sextile. Neptune and Pisces. Neptune is mysticism, spirituality, can be the fog, can be lack of clarity. It also encourages letting go. So not only do we have the transformational energy of Pluto, not only do we have the sudden change, sudden innovation, ideas from Uranus, we also have this spiritual connection with this moon. We have this ability to let go with Neptune and Pisces, perhaps some delusion. So we may encounter that. Now, a sextile is opportunistic. So I feel like we have the opportunity with this sextile to bring some dreams into reality, to pay attention to our intuition, our inner knowing, whatever that, I think in the Christian tradition, they speak of the Holy Spirit, which speaks to you. And it's not the Bible. That's not what Neptune is. Like when we're talking imagery here, we're talking about the voice you would hear. And sometimes people do hear voices, right? Sometimes people connect to the other realms. It is the ether. So that's why I say there is a mystical uh, undertone to this full moon that allows us to see beyond, to see what it really could be, perhaps. Neptune is love, limitless love. Neptune is limitless. So this transformation, this change, we need to pay attention to our intuition as well. What are the synchronicities that you've been experiencing? Okay, so there is one more component to this full moon, maybe several more components. I mean, it's also sextile the South Node, letting go, moving away from. Scorpio is power. Scorpio is transformation. Scorpio can be obsession. It can be ownership to an abusive degree. I'm a Scorpio sun, so I'm not like that. We're not disparaging the whole sign of Scorpio. These are the many faceted themes, archetypes associated with Scorpio. Shared resources, how we merge with others. It is fixed water, so it is our emotional swamp sometimes, let's put it that way. And so it can be associated with power, obsession, but to a higher vibe, in a higher vibe sense, we're going to say also the ability to connect on a deep level, shamanism, the occult, intuition as well, empowerment. And I think that is the best expression of Scorpio energy, is full self-acceptance and empowerment. So also Scorpio does have a certain sexual archetype associated with it. So, I mean, when we have Pluto involved, which it is, Pluto can bring about truth, because truth is transformation. It can bring up maybe truths that were hidden. So when we say sextile to Scorpio, South Node, we may see some of that in the news as well, something to consider. You can see it's making, I think this is referred to in some spaces as a mystical rectangle. And then when we add in Neptune, it looks like an envelope, doesn't it? So this is a message here for this this full moon. So the other component is that Saturn at 24 degrees of Aquarius retrograde, we're kind of restructuring where Aquarius is, which is collective humanity. It's societies and how we work together. It's the future that is Aquarius. And we're rethinking the structure there, right? Innovating our structures. It is trine to Venus and Gemini. So a trine is supportive. Venus and Gemini is really valuing information, communication, data processing, being social perhaps. Saturn is bringing some structure to that, some idea sharing perhaps. I could see community organizing in order to build something. That is the nature of this Venus trine Saturn. So it gives us a certain structure with this full moon, and the ability to look forward into the future and plan things, to communicate clearly. Excuse me. Now, the only thing is Venus is square Neptune at this time. So it's got 1 foot on the ground and 1 foot just floating around somehow. It really is. That's the nature of what Venus. So I think maybe perhaps being a little unsure of what to believe with Venus square Neptune, Venus and Gemini, which rules information, thought processes. Square Neptune is like, do we have much clarity? Now it does, I think it does help that we have a trine to Saturn at the same time. So we do have at least one tether with Venus trine Saturn, and Saturn rules the full moon because it rules Capricorn. So we are really absolutely headed for some change with our future in mind. What do we want our future to look like? Venus just has to make some decisions here. Does it maybe get confused, clouded by Neptune? Does it pay more attention to the Saturn energy? I think that really will depend on you and your own chart. Okay, so that is the overwhelming overarching theme, but overwhelming as well. Full moon is overwhelming, right? It's big feelings. And in Capricorn, these can get pretty, what do I want to say? It's a driven sign. It's a cardinal sign. So I would say we definitely push with the moon in Capricorn, even if we don't feel like we can. With Pluto there, we are pushing and driving this somewhere, this change, especially with the future in mind. Okay, so let's go through the rising signs here. All right, so we're going to start with Aries rising. Okay, now I have to decide how to interpret all of this for each rising sign. I am going to do my best. We're going to first focus on the area of the full moon for you, and that will be, and Pluto. That will be 10th house of career, success, and Capricorn is already a successful sign. So Aries risings already have like natural affinity for achievement, success, public reputation, accolades, but this full moon is really pushing for it in some way. Now, the trine to the node and Uranus, and maybe change, by the way, I cannot leave out the change and transformation to the career area, but I do feel like empowerment is a big piece of this change in career, being seen, achieving what you want. But it could have to do with changing career as well, if you are feeling disempowered. So Uranus and the North Node are in your second house of finances. That is where you may be experiencing a lot of focus in your life. So value, self-worth, finances, assets, comfort. But also a lot of maybe unexpected upheaval with Uranus there. So your values are undergoing a shift. Those two together, working off of each other, if you change career, your finances likely may shift a little. Same goes for if you need to make more money, maybe you need a career change. Those two things are a big deal. I would, do I want to say caution? I don't know if I want to say caution, but there is a lot of potential to get depressed, mired down with Neptune and Pisces in your 12th house, maybe just overall confused, lack of direction. You don't know, which way is up and down. I think we're less in that energy now. We had a lot of it with Jupiter and Pisces. That's coming back. It's going to retrograde in the fall. So I think this full moon allows you the ability to tap into the intuition without being so lost with the Neptune and Pisces. So I think don't forget to take time for space. That's going to help you let go of the things you need to let go of. Space, zoning out. That's a Neptune in the 12th house and Pisces thing. And we have sextiles here. So they are opportunistic, but with Venus square Neptune, I think decisions could be hard to make. If you need to make decisions, look to how do I want my future to look? Saturn in your 11th house. The 11th house is networking, friend groups, and it's the future. It's your goals. So if you're feeling lack of clarity, try to picture where you want to be in 10 years. That's going to be your main guidepost, but also who in your life do you admire? That's another way to do this. I would say definitely if you're feeling like you're confused or like there's lack of clarity, that is also a good indication you need to space out, zone out, meditate, go do some walking in the woods, something of that nature, because all of this change in career, finances, values, self-worth, all of that, that is a lot for a human psyche to handle, right? I mean, there's a lot going on. So it is important with Neptune making good connections to some things and some more tense connections, with Neptune there in your 12th, to take the time to connect to your spiritual proclivities. All right. Let's see if I can keep this going. Taurus rising. Full moon's in your 9th house. The 9th house, and I cannot forget Pluto. So we're talking transformation of the rules and structures perhaps that govern you spiritually. The 9th house is a philosophical place in an astrology chart. It's travel, it's philosophy, it's higher education, it is your worldview. Okay. So if there is a large change in your philosophies, or you're feeling like perhaps, like, let's just play with reality here, you were born into a certain religion, you've been that religion for your whole life, and you almost can't take it anymore, it's too stifling, you want to change. 9th house would rule religious activities as well. And worldview, perhaps you've always been against a certain viewpoint and you're feeling yourself shift there. That is supposed to be happening for you right now. Explore philosophies, self-help, travel, get out of your mind, allow yourself the transformational opportunity to shift philosophies and worldviews. Now, Uranus and the North Node are in your 1st house of identity and how others see you. I mean, even down as far as your looks, down to your looks. Okay. So that's undergoing a huge focus and change, maybe unexpected change, maybe upheaval. Definitely. I mean, at times that's welcome. Sometimes it's harder to deal with if there's so much focus on your identity. And those two things, your worldview and your identity, are undergoing great transformation. And it's something that I think, gosh, I wish everyone would look into their charts, because there's so much here that helps you go, okay, this is why I'm feeling so weirded out, because I used to believe this and now I don't. And if I say I don't believe this anymore, how are people going to see me? That's what Taurus risings are undergoing. Now, Neptune is in your 11th house. Okay, so Neptune's working in a couple of different ways here. Neptune is bringing some, I would say maybe mystical energy to future goals and to networking friend groups. It's retrograde, and there is a school of thought that when Neptune is retrograde, we're not as confused there. I kind of like that idea. I gravitate towards it because it revisits. So all the places that Neptune has caused delusion or confusion or disillusionment in your 11th house of friend groups, like people you hang out with, the group you associate with, and your goals, your future. Maybe for a little bit this year, it's been unclear. Right now, I think this full moon brings clarity here and an understanding, maybe a letting go. Neptune helps us to release as well. So you could be letting go of groups that you are involved with. You could be having intuition about people in your life or who you want to connect into, especially based on your changing philosophies, worldviews, transforming. By the way, I should not say just changing, it's transformation. And then your identity changing. It's going to hook you into some pretty synchronistic events with your goals and your friend groups. Now, the one caveat is Venus here, square Neptune. Venus is in your 2nd house. So you are thinking about finances, your values, how much you are worth, and Neptune could bring some confusion, like, does this group of people really see my worth? Saturn, though, is in your 10th house, and that's tethering you to the ground. So a lot of work in your career, public reputation, and just remember, picture yourself in 10 years. What do you want to look back on and see what you've accomplished? That if you're having problem with what goals you want to set because Neptune's causing any confusion, think about the future. Saturn in Aquarius. What do you want it to look like? Also think about what you want your public reputation to be. Are you comfortable being pigeonholed as one thing? With Uranus in your first house, probably not. You know, you may be over here being what do you call it? Mime? I'm in a box. I'm in a box. Oh my gosh. And then also a beauty queen at the same time. Whatever. I mean, I know it's terrible examples, but oh, that's what I'm good for. The point is you can be more than one thing with Uranus in the North Node in your first house. So don't be pigeonholed. If you want to have a public reputation for being a certain thing, that's fine. Just make sure it's aligned with your values. Make sure people recognize who you are as a person and claim that. Saturn in your 10th, you are working on that achievement really hard. Don't let goals that may not align with your philosophies distract you. This is more about long-term gain. So changing philosophies, maybe also some shifting identity, groups you're hooked into, and your goals are also wrapped up into this full moon. All right. I'm telling you, it's a mouthful for every rising sign. I'm sorry, Gemini rising. We're going to do this. Full moon's in your 8th house. Okay, the 8th house. And Pluto's there. What are we transforming? How we share ourselves. And also what we feel like we own. This is a financial axis for you. I will say that. You know, maybe you're feeling like you want to have more money. The full moon comes in and says, well, have you asked these people for it? Because you can use other people's money in the 8th house. The 8th house is really good for resources that are not necessarily yours. The 8th house rules inheritance. It rules marriage contracts, business partnerships, grants, anything of that nature that is not like money you worked for falls into the 8th house. And why does it rule, like, let's just say contracts and marriage? Because that's how you share resources. The 8th house rules shared resources. So because of that reason, sometimes the 8th house can feel disempowering. We can feel owned. Sometimes we can feel like we own things that are not ours with 8th house topics. So what we're doing is we're transforming this part of our lives. What am I worth? How do I want to share myself? What do I feel like I deserve to share with others? Who do I share myself with? Are they using it to disempower me? I'm paying your rent. You have to do what I say. That's an 8th house topic. Okay. So it gets down to, am I empowered or am I disempowered quite significantly? Also, if there is something that someone owes you, for instance, that would be an 8th house topic. I would say also taxes are an 8th house topic. And I'm just giving you all this stuff because it might be pertinent to you in your life. And I think it's important. Investments are an 8th house topic. So if you've made an investment, maybe you're seeing a return on it with this full moon. Maybe you're not. And you're like, I got to get out of this contract. It's got to transform. That's Pluto. So we're transforming even how we do business with people with the 8th house. Now, Uranus and the North Node are in your 12th house. What's changing for you with that? Lord, hard to say. The 12th house is very abstract. This is the spiritual transformation. This is psychological. This is the place of downloads. That's what I call the 12th house. It's where we go to sleep. We have a dream. The 12th house is the domain of dreams even. And that can also work to change us. When we wake up, we had an epiphany. So this is I can't tell you, you are changing this. Maybe you are valuing spirituality a little more. Maybe you are valuing retreat a little more, valuing getting out of your normal comfort zone. The 12th house, it's like limitless. Okay. So very intuitive, but this is very deep work. The 12th house and the 8th house, shadow houses. Why? When the sun rises, here is the horizon. The sun rises this way. When the sun rises, is it immediately bright daylight? No, it's twilight, the 12th house. Okay. And then, you know, midday comes, the sun's starting to get lower in the sky. And then we've got the sun falling into shadow, sort of, in the 8th house. It's where the sun begins to descend in the sky. So these are very spiritual, very deep places to have transformation and change going on. I'm not going to tell you it's easy. I think the cadent houses can be very difficult. So this transformation is on like a DNA level for you, okay, and a psychological level. And the best thing I can say to do is to allow it, to allow the transformation, to allow the depths, to dive right in. Skulls, bones, dead people. I'm going to just, you know, get in the car with them and look them in the face. I don't know why I said the car. Whatever it is, that's an 8th house topic. 8th house can rule loss. So we're allowing this transformation to happen. We're confronting it. And that is one of the more powerful mechanisms of change in our lives. So Gemini risings are really going through this major shift, and it's not something you can say, oh, it's your money. Oh, it's this. Oh, no, it's not that easy. This is majorly spiritual and deep root chakra DNA work for you. Now, Neptune's in your 10th house of career. Neptune, probably in the beginning of the year, caused havoc here. Okay. Jupiter was there, which ended up not being the fun transit. Even though I thought, you know, why wouldn't it be? Because Jupiter rules Pisces and Neptune's the modern ruler of Pisces. This should be great. It ended up being very confusing, very disillusioning. Not that good things didn't happen from that transit, but I just feel like Gemini risings probably had a rougher time with career, public reputation, and legacy. What is meaning to me? You know, what am I leaving behind in the first part of the year? That could be getting a little easier. This full moon may connect some of the dots for you, especially in that very abstract way. And you go, oh, well, this is the thing that I was deluding myself over with my career. And I realized I need to redirect and I need to pay attention to my intuition more. Or, I mean, think of a number of Neptune and Pisces keywords: dreams, intuition, mysticism. But with it retrograde, maybe greater clarity, maybe taking off the rose-colored glasses and going, you know, I thought I was ready to launch that cleaning business, but that's not really what I want to do. And I'm seeing deep down right now. And I realize I'm changing and things are changing for me and my needs are changing. Maybe I've inherited some money. Maybe I've had to move, whatever the case may be. Allow yourself to let go of any career. Like if you've been like very stickler about what's going on in your career area, you may want to let go of that a little bit and take your hands off the, I don't know, maybe the hammer is a good example. I mean, because the 10th house wants to achieve. Neptune there, it's not so good for, you know, pushing. Neptune wants you to go, okay, universe, you know, I'll let go. So that, coupled with the fact that you've got 8th and 12th house transits going on, can be a little disconcerting. But I think here, with the sextiles being opportunistic, and I know that Neptune's still pretty far away from sextile to Uranus, but I think all of these things are close enough to call that opportunistic. And I think it allows you to maybe have some epiphanies that make sense for what you went through in the beginning of the year with this full moon. That being said, Venus is in your first house of identity, and you are really contemplating, who am I? Who am I? What do I want to present myself as? It's square Neptune. I don't know. You know, I thought I was going to be a cleaning person, and now I've decided I don't want to do it anymore. Who am I? I've been marketing myself as that, and all of a sudden I don't want to do it. This is crazy. That's the nature of Venus square Neptune in your first and 10th house. So public reputation could be a little weird right now, but what do we need to do? We need to tether ourselves to Saturn retrograde here in the 9th house, and go, okay, I have the support of my worldview, my philosophies. Maybe you're restructuring all this. Travel is another ninth house topic. I think that the future for you, it rests in teaching, travel, philosophical musings, even religion. That's a ninth house topic. Higher education, it could be going back to school, it could be learning a new technique. You're going to have to put in some work there, but that is going to be your key to success. And I think really points you in the right direction for this full moon. But yeah, maybe letting go of pushing something that's not working, I think is a good piece of advice for Gemini risings. Okay, gotta move on, gotta move on. Cancer rising, Pluto and the moon are in your 7th house of relationship. There's great transformation going on with how you relate to others. This could be very empowering, like I'm claiming it. I want people to know who I am, what my values are. It's a very kind of sassy feeling. I'm a Cancer rising, and I was feeling real sassy and real like I'm not putting up with people's bullshit anymore the other day. Yesterday, I was feeling like that. I still feel like that with this full moon. Just done. I am not going to take people running over me at all. So I don't know if other Cancer risings are having that experience, but that's the experience I've had. The other thing is being empowered by some relationships. For instance, my relationship, I'm having just great feelings about it. Where he supports me, empowers me. We have a great relationship. So in 2 ways, I'm doing this at the same time. I'm telling other people that I'm not going to take your bullshit, and I'm not going to just lay down and, let you walk all over me. At the same time, I see this other relationship in my life that's really empowering. And so that is the nature of this Pluto moon in the 7th. Uranus and the North Node are in your 11th house. This is goals. This is the groups you belong to, community groups, nonprofits, friend groups, societies, and goals. What do you want to do in the future? What are you doing? What are you doing? Well, that may not be so easy with Uranus there. Uranus can cause upheavals. It can cause you to change on a dime, like, oh, this is what I want to do. This full moon may be one of those moments. It may be one of those moments where you realize I need to plug myself into a group, or I really like the group that I belong to. But there's a lot of focus on friends, groups of people, networking, and goals for the future. Things may change there. Great transformation. Don't forget. So for Cancer risings, this could change your friend groups. This could change who you are affiliated with. There could be great upheaval in that area for you. Don't be afraid of it, because it's all for your good. It is all for your good. Okay. Now, Neptune is in your 9th house. So I'm going to do this kind of fluid explanation because it is fluid. Neptune, you can't pin it down. Neptune's in your 9th house. That's travel, philosophies, and that area may have lacked clarity for you around the beginning of the year. I think it's becoming more clear, and your worldview is going to inform the people you associate with. And it may be people you like to travel with. I mean, with Neptune being in your 9th house, it may be people you like to talk philosophy with, and those are the people you end up connecting with. But in some way, that is important. Now, Venus is in your 12th house. There's not much to say about that. Why? Because it's confusing as hell. Venus is what we love and what we cherish, and fairness, and the 12th house is just, I don't know, it's spirituality, it's mysticism. It can be, traditional astrology calls it the prison, I think, or something like that. I think of like a waking dream sometimes when I think of the 12th house, So Venus being there, we're not quite sure of what we want. Okay. Saturn, though, it's trying to Saturn in your 8th. Saturn's in your 8th going, you've made investments. People have been taken from you, or you've been taking too much, or you have this owed to you, or there's some inheritance coming to you. There is something with this Saturn in the 8th house. The work you do on empowering yourself in shared resources situations is going to be the best work. It's going to, like, in the future, how do you want your contracts to go? How do you want business associates to view you and to treat you? How do you want the people closest to you to view you and to treat you? You're working on that. You're working on empowerment right now. So even if you don't really know what you want, just remember you are empowering yourself in a really great way, and you're putting in the work. It's not easy. It is not easy to have Saturn in your 8th house. Sometimes it feels like I'm not getting paid when I need to get paid with Saturn in your 8th, and you're just like, why even put in the work? You know, Neptune's over there and you're not going, just travel. I told you guys I'm a Cancer rising. If I haven't been experiencing that, you know, I'd be lying, because I've been traveling a lot. Some of it was for work. Some of it was because I'm just like, oh, I need to get away. So that is the definition of the difference between Venus square Neptune and Venus trine Saturn. So I think this full moon is saying, put in the work. You're going to get back what you're putting in for this full moon. But some of that work involves who you associate with and how you allow them to treat you, getting out of situations that are no good, telling people exactly what your boundaries are, making sure they know. And it could be with, you know, the change part of this and the letting go part of this, the things you believe, Neptune in your 9th house. Maybe you need to let go of some narratives. Maybe you need to change those beliefs a little bit. Like, oh, how will they look at me? I believe that in order to be a good person, I just need to give all of my time. Well, that belief needs to change. That's what I'm telling you. All right. So Leo rising, not even halfway through yet. I'm getting there. Okay. Leo rising. Full moon in your 6th house, health, daily life, rituals. I really like the 6th house for what you do every day. So if there's been something disempowering there, that's going to change. New habits. I'm, you know, of the opinion that when we have this much energy in our 6th house, that we have to pay attention to our health, to our rituals, to our routines, and that's going to be very important. My husband's mowing. We're not actually married. I call him my husband. Oh, he stopped. Okay, so sorry about that, Leo risings. I mean, here we are talking about what you do every day, rituals, routines. He's out there mowing the grass. That's perfect. Anyway, if there's something disempowering going on in your health or your rituals, even your co-workers are a 6th house topic, pets are a 6th house topic, something that's been maybe needing a transformation, this is a perfect time to do it. Now, Uranus and the North Node are in your 10th house of career, public reputation. That's also changing. These are both of them are very related to work. Okay, so work is changing for you. You are going through a serious transformation there. So maybe you decided you want to do something completely different with your career. Well, that's going to change your everyday life. You're not going to drive the same route to work because you're going to a different office building, or you're staying home from work, or you've had enough with people telling you you have to come back to the office. These are all good examples for Leo rising. And then we could also say health comes into the picture as well. I'm tired of feeling like a slave to my addiction. I'm tired of you know, not walking every day, or whatever the case may be for you. There's a super emphasis on work and health, routine, ritual, and success, achievement, and how you do that. And all of it's undergoing a great change. Neptune's in your 8th house. Shared resources. You know, I feel like for Leo risings, that's not going to be as much of a thing. Neptune in the 8th kind of, it's so abstract. I don't know if it's worth hitting on. There may be a letting go of a contract, of a business partnership. There is something there. It's just that one's harder to dial into for Leo risings, I think, because Neptune can represent confusion. The 8th house is such a deep and abstract house anyway, but it does rule business partnerships and investments. So if there's something confusing going on there, I'm also looking at Venus being in your 11th house of goals. And so you may be really contemplating where you want to go in life. But there may be a contract holding you back. There may be a business partnership holding you back that is going to require you to let go. Venus is trine Saturn in your 7th house. Saturn has been, I want to say, you've been putting in the work for how you relate to others. And so relationships feature strongly here. The work you've done to innovate the relationships in your life, to draw better boundaries with the relationships in your life. You know, you look at that and then you look at Neptune in your 8th house, which is the contractual form of relationship. And you go, there may be something you want to let go of there in order to achieve your goals. So I would just watch out for that. It could have to do with letting go of some sort. And it could, like, this could tie into to career as well. I told you this is about work for you, right? So if we think about it, there may be, okay, I've been with a business partner for this long, but in order to achieve my goals, I need to, dissolve that partnership and move in a different direction. That could be an absolute way this comes out for you. And then the work comes in. How do I maintain the relationship after that sort of thing? It's just an example, but that's what Leo risings are really facing: transformation in career, work, health, rituals, everyday life, and then a little work in relationships. Okay. Or maybe a lot of work in that. Virgo rising. Virgo, this is in your 5th house of creativity. And you are really looking to empower yourself there. Also, the 5th house rules children, inner child. It is known as the house of good fortune. So this looks pretty empowering in that way. I love it. But I think it is, how do I claim my maybe my time? I mean, Capricorn does rule time, Saturn rules time. In order to be creative, what is holding me back from being in touch with that creative self, that inner child? That is what's transforming for you. So maybe a completely new way to be creative. And then we look at Uranus and the North Node in your 9th house. And that is changing your worldview, your belief system, your values in that way. Also upheaval, ideas, innovation coming through higher education, travel, and then philosophically exploring. So this is like a choose your own adventure full moon for you. Like, what are you going to do? Sky's the limit for Virgo risings right now. Like, you can decide you believe this, tap into your creativity, and boom, we're off. We're doing it. So it looks really good. Neptune's in your 7th house of relationships. So that could be supportive for you right now. Like, maybe you're creative with your partner. Maybe you find a group to lock into to be creative with. Venus is in your 10th house of career square Neptune though. So, you may be thinking, how do I continue working at this place when I don't even like the people? That could be one way this comes out. Or how do I connect with people at work? How do I show them who I am? I mean, I really love what I'm doing. I just don't know about how I feel about the people. Or it could be that there's something in your relationship holding you back from being your true self at work. That could be a thing. Now, Saturn is trine Venus. Saturn's in your 6th house: ritual, routine, everyday life. That's very important to you right now. And it is providing structure for you for the career stuff. But ultimately, I mean, I can see even how you could need to let go of 7th house relationship. What am I getting here? Maybe let go of, like, how much time you sink into your relationships in order to be creative. That could be what this means. It doesn't mean you have to separate from somebody, and you have to trade off this for romance or whatever. But there is a connection here about how you relate to others and how much your creativity and your inner child are able to express themselves. And so you may need to juggle a little bit, but if work is taking up a lot of your time, but you still want to be creative and have fun, you may have to tell your partner, hey, I'm going to schedule some creative time for myself. Okay. That's how that might go, especially with Saturn being there in your 6th, routine, ritual, everyday life. We got to get a schedule going. All right. I feel good about that one for Virgo risings. Libra rising. This is your cardinal rising, just like Cancer. Cardinal signs are getting it with this full moon because it's square to your rising sign. But for this is a transformation in the area of home, family, emotional security, really standing up for yourself and for your needs. Maybe even standing up for yourself with family or in your home, taking more interest in your home, wanting to change something about your home. Uranus and the North Node are in your 8th house of shared resources. So, gosh, are you going to inherit some land? I don't know. That it could totally be that, because don't forget, Uranus is unexpected events. Okay. 8th house is inheritance, it's investment. So Libra risings could be investing in property, could be deciding to move, but something's got to change here. And it could be that you're tired of living with your family and you want to move out because they just bring you down. It could be you're tired of living alone and you need people in your home. And so you decide you want to go find someone to marry. 8th house. Okay. So this is about how I share myself, the people in my home, my emotional security, my deepest desires. All of that is undergoing a transformation. Neptune's in your 6th house. This is everyday life, work, health. Beginning of the year could have been a little squirrely. It's becoming a little more clear now. And then Saturn in your 5th. So this is the dance between Venus trine Saturn, Venus in your 9th, which is philosophy, higher education, your worldview. That's extremely supported by Saturn in your 5th house of creativity. And so there's a certain sense of, I want to have fun. I'm not, sure what I need to do in order to have fun. But the work is in allowing yourself to be creative. Saturn in your 5th, Neptune in your 6th. This is not easy for Libra rising. It's like wanting to get out, but not being sure how, wanting to be creative, but man, it's so much work. It takes time. It takes effort. Think of yourself in the future, though. That's what to do. So if you need to rearrange your home in order to make a creative space, that you can do this. This is a little like Libra risings. The only difference is this is more related to actual changes you can make in order to build time for creativity in your home, in your family life, who you share your life with. Your values are changing in that way. So I think that it's about opening your mind to different ways of doing things. Saturn in the 5th, this Venus trine Saturn for Libra risings especially is sort of strange. Trines are supportive. Venus in your 9th, exploring philosophies, maybe wanting to travel, maybe traveling a lot. Trine Saturn in your 5th, this seems supportive from a creative aspect and maybe from a romantic partner aspect. But your health and your daily life and your routine are all maybe screwed up because of travel or philosophical musings, or like I'm thinking of a Libra rising I know that's been traveling a lot, not able to spend a lot of time with her boyfriend. 5th house, romance, love, creativity, and also not able to get into her routine. So in some way, this Saturn trine Venus is not necessarily like super awesome. I don't think, Saturn can be a downer sometimes. Like, what do you mean if I want to travel, I can't spend time with my romantic partners, But there is a foundational aspect to Saturn. So if your relationship is strong, then that's nice. You can go off and wander off and figure out what you want to do. And Saturn is ruling this full moon in your 4th house of home, security, and family. So while you're undergoing these emotional changes, you're also having to maybe deal with extra responsibility, and it's not as much fun right now. Saturn in your 5th. It's not like super awesome fun. But I do think Venus in your 9th, getting out of your house. Getting out and away is a good thing. It just takes you away from your routine. The transformation comes in your home. It comes in your emotional security, taking care of yourself, however that needs to happen. And then the change in your 8th house, how you share yourself with people. Libra risings are having a time with this. The eclipses in your 2nd and 8th house. It's like in some way you're doing well with finances, and that's good. Developing ways to make money with the North Node in the 8th, maybe business partnerships, new contracts. Maybe people are saying, hey, let me pay for this for you, whatever. And then full moon in your 4th house, home, property you own, family. Both of those things undergoing a massive change, but I'd just like to know if there's any Libra risings doing work to their home, or moving, or feeling extremely oppressed by their home and needing to make a transformation there, a change. Or if they're having any business partnerships change, shared resources, contracts, making big changes there. Please report back, Libra rising. Okay. Scorpio rising, full moon in your 3rd house. That is how you think, how you make decisions, how you plan out your daily life, how you get in your car and drive. It's your local community. So, you could be contemplating how much authority you feel like you have. Like, do you trust yourself? I think that's the best way to describe this full moon for you. Uranus and the North Node are in your 7th house of relationship. That has recently undergone a massive transformation with the eclipses and everything. So you may have a brand new partner in your life that you've decided to share yourself with. But the full moon and Pluto in your 3rd house is like, you're thinking differently because of it. So there's major transformation in the way you're thinking and the way you're speaking and the way you're communicating. And it's due to changing relationships in some way. Maybe you're realizing, this old identity, South Node in Scorpio, is going away. I'm really making a change of who I am. So how do I communicate that to people? How do I still feel like I'm an authority when I'm undergoing such a massive change myself? So this is about trusting yourself, communicating your authority to people, communicating how you're transforming to people, your identity. Neptune's in your 5th house. I think that's actually kind of nice for you. The 5th house is inner child creativity, good fortune. We've got Venus in your 8th house, investments. You're probably putting a lot of thought and energy into investments, shared resources. It is square to Neptune in your 5th. So maybe you've got some investments that are just putting a damper on how much fun you can have right now. But at the same time, I think it's time to get creative with your investments. And then Saturn in your 4th house, trine this Neptune, is indicative of a lot of work on your home and family area. Maybe putting in maybe there's a lot of responsibility with property you own, the home you're in, the family you've created. And Venus in your 8th house, the investments you've made are actually, those two things are working together. The fact that you have perhaps shared resources with someone, merged a business partnership, something of that nature, that's supporting you. But it's a lot of work. You look like you have a lot of work right now. That's what it looks like. So this is about making decisions that support you, trusting yourself, having strong boundaries and communicating them, having more structure to your daily life, maybe to how you do your work. That is what is transforming for Scorpio risings right now. All right, Sagittarius rising. 2nd house, finances, self-worth, assets. That is what you are looking to transform, take authority there. Maybe feeling more empowered in this area, your financial sector, what you own, your values. You're becoming very strong here. This Pluto transit has made you aware of what your values are, how much you're worth, your self-worth. That's all very good. Uranus and the North Node are in your 6th house of everyday life, work, rituals, what you do every day for work, definitely health. And so there's been a lot of changes there. Maybe you've changed your job. Maybe you are working with new people. Maybe you're not working at all. Both of these things are undergoing transformation. So if you figured out how to work while you're in a van, and still make money, these are great things, right? Maybe that's how you value living your everyday life, but there's a major value shift change going on in your health, work life, rituals, everyday life, and then your finances as well. What you value. Maybe you value being on the road more than you value a lot of money, right? So see where I'm going with this. We get more confusing when we get to Neptune. Every time I've done each rising sign, I just sort of trip over my words with Neptune, which is right on brand for what Neptune does. So Neptune is connected well to the full moon and Uranus. It's inviting change, maybe because of this new sense of emotional security you have. But Venus is in your 7th house. Venus is good. Working on your relationships, maybe really feeling like that's jiving. The home situation is a little kind of unclear, though. How your relationship and home work together, how the people in your home relate to your partner, how your partner relates to your family. Those two things can be a little unclear. But Saturn is in your 3rd house. Saturn rules this full moon. The 3rd house is decision making, and you're really thinking outside the box. You're working on communicating better, communicating in a way that maybe no one's ever heard you communicate before. Aquarius rules social media. So maybe you're doing a lot of sharing like that, and people are able to see, maybe it's that your family is like, I don't really like her partner. And then you start sharing about your partner on social media and you tell your story and people are like, maybe it's not so bad, or maybe I do like it, or maybe I think differently of it. You see where I'm going with this? Whereas Neptune can create confusion or disillusionment, Saturn's bringing a certain foundation. And so you have both acting at the same time. And that's at the same time as all this other stuff. So I think having greater authority and making major transformations in what you value, your finances, your self-worth, you're really empowering yourself there. That's what this full moon is about. But in a way, it's also about networking for you, reaching out, showing people who you are. And that's the work that really is driving this full moon. It is like, I'm thinking of the future. I'm communicating to people. Yes, it's a lot of work, but it's also plugging into my goals for the future. All right, Capricorn rising. This is in your 1st house of identity and self, and you are standing up in some way and saying, this is who I am. This is my boundary. This is who I want to be. This could be relationship heavy for you. You may be seeing that you're undergoing a change. You may feel like you need to empower yourself in your relationship in some way. So major transformation in how you are seen to others. Maybe how you even see yourself in a mirror, how your partner sees you. That is a big transformation. Now, Uranus and the North Node are in your 5th house of children, inner child, romance, and creativity. So there's been some upheaval, some change in that area. Maybe your values are shifting. You used to want kids, you don't want kids anymore, whatever, but that's changing how your partner sees you. You can see where I'm going with this, how it's all connected together. That's just one example. You may have decided, oh, I want to play guitar. That's another example of Uranus in the North Node in the 5th house. And then people all of a sudden see you as a guitar player. Wow, that's pretty cool. So these changes are actually pretty cool for Capricorn risings. Not super easy ever because Pluto's involved and transformation's never really comfortable. That's the nature of transformation. Venus is in your 6th house of health, routine, ritual, everyday life right now. And it is really dealing with a lot of information. There's a lot to do. It's very busy. It's square to Neptune in your 3rd house. So it may be hard to organize your thoughts, communicate what you think to coworkers, Venus being in your 6th, Neptune in your 3rd. Maybe you're just feeling like escaping and getting away from it all, taking a short trip. That's a great thing to do. Saturn is in your 2nd house, though. And the thing that keeps you tethered is financial stability, really seeing yourself in the future as someone who is financially successful, can maybe support humanitarian work. So there's a lot of work in the financial sector. And even though you may feel like shucking off your responsibilities with Neptune square Venus, Saturn reminds you, no, your goals need you to work hard and it's going to be okay. And you just have to think of yourself in the future. And then also contemplate, how does future Capricorn rising look? That is a big part of this full moon for you. And does it incorporate inner child, maybe actually fun? That's important too. What is fun to you? That may be changing. Okay, Aquarius rising. Sorry guys, this full moon is long. It's a lot of stuff, so it's going to be a long video, and I apologize, but it's a lot going on and I just couldn't skip any of it. Okay, this full moon is in your 12th house, very abstract for Aquarius risings. It's a spiritual transformation, could have a lot to do with dreams, maybe just feeling empowered psychologically, spiritually. Uranus in the North Node are in your 4th house of home and family and emotional security. And that has undergone a big change. I don't know if you've made changes to your home, if you've had emotional changes go on, if you've had people leave your family, join your family, lots of upheaval there. And that is affecting you psychologically. So there is transformation here. Now, Venus is in your 5th house, which is inner child creativity, fun, romance. So there's a lot of energy and buzz there. Neptune's in your 2nd house of finances. And it's like, as much as you want to have fun, there's some kind of lack of clarity financially for you. But Saturn is in your 1st house of self-identity, independence, autonomy, and you've been putting in a lot of work on who you are as a person. I think that, coupled with the really nice energy of Venus in your 5th house, is showing you tap into your creativity no matter what. Like if you need to really feel like yourself, go play. That's a very important thing for Aquarius right now with Venus. There was a Mercury retrograde in your 5th as well. But also, I'm just looking at Neptune in your 2nd, like don't spend money doing it. Okay. I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds like a directive, but if you can avoid spending a bunch of money right now, it's probably good for you, because Venus square Neptune, it's like, I want to have fun. You don't have to spend money to do it. I'm just giving you that advice. Saturn in your 1st house is like, yes, I need to have fun to figure out who I want future Aquarius rising to be, but don't spend money doing it. Okay. That's just my advice for Aquarius risings. Ultimately, this is a very spiritual and identity transforming time for you, as well as emotionally transforming your values, what makes you feel comfortable, what you even like. So yeah, color in a coloring book, paint, dance, whatever you can do. That's a really good activity for you during this full moon. All right, Pisces risings, the last sign of the zodiac. Okay, let's start with you. Pluto. I was talking to Pluto when I said that. Let's start with you, Pluto. Moon and Pluto, full moon in your 11th house of networking, friend groups, large groups of people, goals, and you're really working on transformation there, empowering yourself, standing up for yourself, maybe being seen for your creativity. That's an important thing for Pisces risings right now. Uranus and the North Node are in your 3rd house, which is a change in the way you communicate about your values, a change in the way you communicate your self-worth. It's really speaking up and saying, this is what I am worth, and I want people to know it. So major changes in that area. Also, the 3rd house rules siblings, just something to note. And decision-making, so thought processes, all that's undergoing a change. That's hooked into this change in your goals, transformation of goals. Maybe you want to feel more powerful, more significant out in the world. Well, then you have to change the way you communicate that to people, right? And both of those things are tied in together. Okay, so Venus is in your 4th house of home and family. Initially by itself, that's good, but it's square Neptune in your 1st house of identity. So while home and family may be cool and great, it could be confusing for who you are as a person to plug into that home and family. Like, for instance, if you're living at home with your parents, you can't really be yourself. That'd be a Venus in the fourth square Neptune in first type of situation. But Saturn in your 12th house is spirituality, dreams, meditation. Saturn's really working on your mental health. And that will help whatever may be going on with Venus square Neptune in your fourth house of home and family. I think the work you're putting in spiritually on yourself, on your emotions, is really going to benefit you in the home area eventually. So it's just like, keep thinking of, like, I would say, picture where you want to be spiritually and also your goals in the future. Because in one way, this is abstract with Saturn in your 12th. In another way, the moon and Pluto on your 11th is very clear. You want to have some success, I think, is what's going on. But your spiritual goals are your tether right now. Where do you want to be spiritually in the future? That's what you need to keep asking yourself. And then how do you communicate all this to people? Uranus in your third. Okay, that's it. That's it for the rising signs. Now I'm going to very quickly go through the rest of the next couple weeks up until the next full moon. That's not what I meant to do. And tell you, I'll hit the highlights. I promise I won't keep this going too much longer. I'm so sorry. So we're here at Tuesday, July 12th, heading to a full moon, Venus trine Saturn, which is really nice for getting work done, for structure, for really deciding how to build our future. And I just went over what the full moon means. So let's go forward, because the full moon will be on Wednesday. So let's look at Thursday. The moon's in Aquarius Thursday. And I'm going to also pull up my notes for the 2022 here. I did every day. I looked at every day. So why not pull out my notes? Okay. So at Venus square Neptune. Yes. So the 14th, Mercury trines the south node, sextiles the north node, and Uranus. Okay. This is important for the themes that I talked about for the full moon. Mercury here hits this resonance with the change. Mercury is focused right now. It's thinking emotionally. That's how our thoughts are being processed right now. Cancer is an emotional sign. So on Thursday, Mercury makes an opportunistic connection to the north node in Taurus and a supportive connection to the south node in Scorpio. And what does that mean? It means like we're able to process this change. We're able to emotionally maybe let go of some things because we're headed to new places. So it's kind of a karmic hit on the 14th. And I don't think it's bad. I think it does encourage us to emotionally process something, though. Let's see here. The 15th, the moon hits Saturn. That may be something to watch out for on that Friday, especially after the full moon in Capricorn, Saturn ruling that. So there may be a certain sense of responsibility or a wall that you encounter on Friday the 15th. It'll be very brief and it's around dinner time, but it's something to note. Yeah. Just something to note. Every time something hits Saturn, it will activate the Saturn-Uranus square, which is change all the way. Okay, so here we go to Saturday the 16th, and it's a Mercury Cazimi. Yay! This is known as an audience with the king. In Cancer, this is an emotional epiphany, and I really like it because astrologers think leading up to Mercury, leading up to the sun, it's almost like a mini Mercury retrograde. It's called combustion. We can't think clearly. You know, things are a little harder to grasp in communication with technology. And now that I think about it, I've had some weird technological glitches over the last couple of days. So when Mercury is within 15 degrees of the sun, I think it's 15, it's combust. and maybe 7 on either side. Either way, it's combust up until this cazimi anyway. So Saturday the 16th, we get clarity around that subject. The subject, Cancer, emotions, nurturing, nourishment. We are very focused on maybe even issues around mother around that time. So I would look forward to that. I think it's going to be great. Venus is now not square Neptune. It's not even trine Saturn. Venus is, I guess the only thing it's really doing is making a quincunx to Pluto. Quincunx is like a mosquito buzzing around. That's what Rick Levine says. I think it's just kind of like there. You don't really understand. Venus and Gemini doesn't really understand what's going on with Pluto and Cap. They're operating in these very different territories. But overall, I think that Saturday looks really good with the Mercury cazimi. The moon will be in Pisces, which is really nice for relaxing. It's a Saturday, a summer Saturday, if you will. And then the moon will also be even sextile to Mars and Taurus for some of the day, later in the day, which kind of puts our emotions and our desires, our willpower on the same supportive level. Let me put it that way. So we're able to sort of dream and also push forward on what we need to do and get an emotional epiphany on Saturday the 16th. Okay. So let's go forward. Sunday, the moon hits Neptune. Dreams may be crazy. And Venus is at the last degree of Gemini. So this is usually a big deal anyway. When a planet is at the last degree of a sign, it's like the final countdown, right? So Venus at the last degree of Gemini, I think figuring out what we truly value has been difficult with Venus and Gemini. We're just taking in a lot of information, not able to really come to a truth. And that may reach a fever pitch, especially with the moon hitting Neptune on July 17th. It's a Sunday. So just have that in mind. If you're having trouble making a decision, do your best to let go if you can until Monday the 18th, because Venus will move into Cancer and it's going to know what it needs and what it wants. Actually, let's see, when does it exactly move into Cancer? It looks like it's moving pretty fast right here, pretty fast. I do weird voices sometimes. Okay, it moves into Cancer around 9 p.m. Central Time, Sunday the 17th. So even right before Monday, which is actually kind of fortunate because Monday is the day the week starts. We get to really emotionally connect with what we love, what we find comfortable. Venus and Gemini, there was a retrograde there like 2 years ago with Venus retrograde in Gemini. I'm just not really like, I'm not a fan because it's in my 12th house, and the 12th house is so weird anyway. So I'm really looking forward to this ingress, Venus in Cancer. It brings a certain soothing to our emotions, to what we need, to nourishment. It's very fortunate for female issues, women's issues, mother issues, birthing issues. You can see where I'm going with it. Like that's a Venus topic. Venus is the feminine. We all have feminine in us. We all have masculine in us. Venus is that receptive, what I love, it's fairness, it's beauty, it's aesthetics. So Venus in Cancer, really looking forward to it. It's going to be nice. Maybe a little emotional, a little clingy. That's okay. It allows us to process emotion and really nurture. So let's see here. What else is coming? Mercury obviously is moving past the sun by now. And the next big thing will be, so we'll go into Monday with Venus freshly in Cancer and the moon is in Aries. So this is something to note because the moon will square Venus like immediately. Moon square Venus, you know, I don't often see moon square Venus as a problem. It's just, you know, perhaps in Aries, because it's Mars ruled, we desire something, but Venus in Cancer is like, no, you need to care. You can't just go off on your own and be mean. You need to care, Venus in Cancer. But, you know, I'm not thinking this is going to be too much of a problem. It's very brief anyway. It happens first thing Monday morning. But yeah, just something to note. And then it applies to Jupiter all day. So the thing about Moon Jupiter right now is, yes, it's abundance, it's big emotions, but in Aries that can also be kind of inflammatory. So just watch your passion around Monday the 18th, you know, and especially with Venus in Cancer, Mercury and the Sun in Cancer, emotions can be quite high. Something to note. So then Mercury moves into Leo on July 19th, which is great. I like Mercury and Leo energy. It's very big, it's very dramatic. So that's something to note. However, at the same time, the Sun is opposing Pluto that day. Dun, dun, dun. And it's a third quarter square moon. So when we come from a full moon, we have one more square. We go new moon, then the first quarter square. That's the first half moon, then the full moon, then the third quarter square. I can't do it right. So July 19th, while I think it's great that Mercury is in Leo, that's going to be really nice energy. The Sun opposing Pluto with Moon at a T-square, very tense, very tense, okay? It's like a fight between what we need, what the rules are, who has authority, and then wanting to do it our way with the Moon in Aries. So that exact T-square, it actually may be into Wednesday that the exact T-square is. I'm going to say, I think late Tuesday, this T-square is going to be active already. It's within 10 degrees by the afternoon on Tuesday, the 19th. That's when things start ramping up. And it's called a crisis in consciousness, the third quarter square moon. With Pluto, we're talking great transformation, maybe some sensitivity, maybe some power plays. I would watch the world stage for what happens on this T-square. And then into Wednesday morning, that keeps going on with the moon square the sun and Pluto up until about 2 p.m. on Tuesday. Oh, sorry, Wednesday the 20th, July 20th. So I would have Tuesday and Wednesday high on my radar, high energy, perhaps tense energy, to just watch your passions and your desires, and make sure you are at the same time if you're feeling great feelings of passion or anger, to make sure you're also considering emotions, make sure you're also considering Libra, where nothing is, the relationships, fairness, balance, and then Pluto, what has authority over me? You have to think of where your emotions are coming from, think of where anger is coming from, and really take pause during a cardinal T-square like that. I think taking pause is a good thing to do. So yeah, Wednesday, the 20th, after 2 p.m., the moon moves into Taurus. Now that's its whole other thing, because the moon then starts applying to its first square Mercury, which is like being very fixed in the way you feel and your values, moon and Taurus, square Mercury and Leo, which just wants to have fun and let loose, man. And it's like, why do I have to like care about how much this costs? You know, something of that nature. So even Wednesday into Thursday, we've got the moon approaching Mars, which is similar heightened energy here. It can be a little tough. Now, I don't want to miss the other thing happening Wednesday into Thursday, the 20th and the 21st. That's Chiron turning retrograde. So any wounds that we've explored with Chiron direct, Chiron is the wounded healer. It exposes places we're sensitive, but also encourages us to heal ourselves and to heal others and to teach healing. That's the nature of Chiron. It's like, I always say with a Chiron transit, you know, imagine you've had a scar, you thought it was healed, you bump it against the table, it reopens, you're like, I thought that was healed. That can happen with Chiron transits. And then you have to take care of it again. And, you know, maybe next time you see someone with the same type of scar and you're like, hey, I don't think that looks healed yet. Make sure you put this salve on it. That's a Chiron idea. So Chiron is stationing, which means it slows down Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and turns around. And it's like, you know, I don't think we finished stitching up this wound. So we got to go back and maybe we need to, cut the stitches out and redo it. That's a little bit of what it's like. So also maybe redressing a wound, we can look at it that way with Chiron retrograde. So something to note, especially with the other heightened energy T square. So yeah, definitely 19th, 20th, 21st can be rough. The moon approaches Mars, and then on Thursday, the 21st, when we wake up, we've got Moon Mars, and that can also be very, especially in Taurus, it can be pretty stubborn energy. But it's like an angry, stubborn person. Like, even if they need to move out of the way of the train, they won't because they said they weren't gonna, that kind of a thing. So don't fall victim to that. If you're feeling stubborn or angry, just remember these words, because it's important to be aware of it and to see where it's coming from. That being said, then the moon hits Uranus after that. Uranus is the great change maker. So I think that's going to be nice. And like, maybe we, I say nice, but it's going to ignite the Uranus Saturn square. So it can be a push pull between the rules, maybe the goals we have, and maybe changing values. That's what I'm going to say. So even through to Friday, we're dealing with that. What are my values? What direction am I headed with my own self-worth, with my assets, with my money, with my my comfort, what I like? And Saturn in Aquarius is like, yeah, but that doesn't jive with your goals, with your plans. How are you gonna, we gotta stick to the plan, man. So these two things are in tension. The moon really brings that out. So I would watch that going into Friday, the 22nd. And then we have sun ingressing Leo. Yay. I say yay because I think the new moon in Leo is going to be really fun. So that's good. Leo season, quintessential summer vibes. It's fun. It's exploratory. It's jovial. It's optimistic, dramatic, maybe a little self-focused sometimes. But that's the nature of what, there has to be a Leo part of ourselves for everyone. So we do need to show off our creativity. We need attention, and a sun in Leo will do that. So that kicks off Leo season. And then Saturday, the 23rd, we've got a moon in Gemini. That doesn't look like it's going to be super active, I don't think. The most action that's going to get is from Neptune, maybe from Saturn with a trine. So, well, it does sextile Jupiter. So Saturday around 6 p.m., we got a moon sextile Jupiter, Mercury. Oh gosh, almost missed Mercury trine Jupiter. That's going to be great. All right, so Saturday, that's a pretty nice energy. Moon and it looks actually pretty social, to tell you the truth. Saturday the 23rd. There's a lot going on socially that day. We want to communicate. We want to be having fun. We want to be hanging out. We want to be active. We want to be physical, and everything's going good with that. Now, the caveat is that Venus is approaching a square with Jupiter. That's like two good guys disagreeing, like it's not really a square is tension. When you have two benefics, two beneficial things squaring, it's not as much of a problem. So I don't really have this high on the list of problematic transits. However, Mars is the ruler of Jupiter right now. Mars is in pretty stubborn, steady, focused Taurus. So there may be some inability to bend according to maybe someone else's needs or someone else's emotions. We may just want to, go off and do it ourselves. And we may have that happen to us around Sunday. So I would note it Sunday into Monday, that's active. But overall, I don't think it's a huge problem. Overnight, the moon trines Saturn and squares Neptune. So dreams, maybe, some confusion around what we think and what we feel. But it's already gone by Monday morning. Like, yeah, by noon 30 or 1:30 Central Time, the moon moves into Cancer. So I don't think the moon square Neptune's going to be a big deal. It's over. We're still sleeping. Okay. So then moon moves into Cancer. That is notable because it will square Jupiter with Venus pretty much. I don't want to be missing anything. Let me look and see, make sure I'm here. Did I mention? Yeah, I did mention Moon, Mars, Uranus, North Node. Yeah, I did mention that. Okay. Yeah. Where are we at? July 25th. So Jupiter trine Mercury, July 23rd, Venus square Jupiter the 24th. So it looks like the 25th is not super eventful. I do love Moon Venus energy. So that'll be nice. Maybe you're doing something with friends. It's square Jupiter again still. So I would actually like a report on how this transit ends up for you. Is it passionate? Is it motivational? Is it emotional? Jupiter rules travel, and it rules, being very active in Aries. And then Venus and Moon and Cancer really just want comfort. So these two things are at a little bit of odds, but it's like, it's okay because they're both benefics. So I overall don't think that's going to be a major problem, but it could be a slight ping. Let me put it that way. And then we've got on the 26th, Mercury sextiling Mars. So yeah, even in that way, we're still, no, I'm sorry, God, that is not a sextile, Mandy. That's Mercury and Leo, square Mars. Now that's going to be not fun. Okay. Like, just going to say it out loud. That is, yeah. So I guess I'm really glad the moon's going to be hitting Venus square and Jupiter around that time, because Mercury square Mars is going to be like fighting words, or maybe if someone's not feeling paid attention to, you're going to hear about it, that kind of a thing. So be aware of Mercury square Mars. It is a battle of wits, kind of like in The Princess Bride. Someone's got some pretty strong values and ideas, and then Mercury and Leo's like, just, can you just lighten up? So that can be a little energetically harsh, I'll say that. So this is Tuesday the 26th, and it's active all day Tuesday the 26th. But like I said, luckily we've got Moon Venus, which is pretty nice, pretty loving, pretty comforting. So that's good. All right, now we're going into Wednesday, and we get the moon getting close to opposing Pluto as we get later in the day, Wednesday. And we are approaching the new moon. So moon opposite Pluto, it's brief, but it brings up the full moon themes. Mercury will be trining Chiron. So we are, that could be pretty sensitive. A trine is supportive, but Chiron being the wounded healer, just freshly retrograde, we may be thinking about places that were sensitive. Getting in touch with inner child and creativity is going to be really important for that. But importantly, as we approach the new moon in Leo, which happens on the 28th, Mercury will begin to square Uranus, and Mars gets very close to Uranus by this date. So the new moon in Leo, it is a doozy, y'all. It is a doozy. And I'm just telling you, I may have to come on and do a special video about that, because as we get, toward the end of the month, August 1st, we have the new moon in Leo trine Jupiter, which that's really nice, but we've got Mars conjoining Uranus in the North Node, which could be quite explosive. And then Mercury opposing Saturn. So we're looking at the 31st and the 1st as some high energy dates. And again, we go into the new moon beginning July 28th. Overnight, the moon moves into Leo. So it's like the moon transiting Cancer, opposing Pluto, Mercury square Mars, Mercury trine Chiron. Again, a big mix of energies leading up to the new moon. And this lunation is going to be really important. So put it on your calendar. I'm calling this the Julia Child new moon. She was a Leo. Jupiter was in Aries when she decided at 50 to go to culinary school and graduate from culinary school, and then became famous. So the other thing about this new moon, and I'll touch on it when I do the new moon video, but just as a preview, Jupiter stationing retrograde at the new moon, trine Jupiter. We're talking about big intention setting around this new moon. It's going to be very important to know where it's happening for you. It's going to be very important to, I think, direct your energies on that day, because it's very powerful, very, it can be very beneficial with a new moon trine Jupiter. So I'm really excited about that. But leading up to it, we have a ping of the moon opposite Pluto on the 27th. So just watch for that. Could be kind of strange. Could be, it's just going to revisit the themes of this particular full moon in Capricorn that I just went over. I'm done. I talked a lot on this one, didn't I? Well, that's okay, because it was, I think necessary. I hope it made sense. It's when you have a lot to get out, astrologically speaking, it can be overwhelming. So, I don't blame you if you skip around and revisit and then come back and mark your calendars. I think that's great to do. That's the power of YouTube. So, yeah, I'm sorry it was so long. Anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful full moon in Capricorn, a very transformative and empowering time. And holler at me if you want me to look at your chart. We can go way deeper into what is going on in your life. And as always, thank you to all of my clients that keep visiting and keep letting me journey through your story. Sometimes, not sometimes, all the time. It is so cool just to have so many lives in my brain. Like, I cannot tell you how much I love hearing everyone's story. And it stays locked in this brain too. By the way, I'm a Scorpio. I do not run my mouth. So it's literally, I feel so special getting to witness the way people grow and the way people change, the successes and even their hard times. I really just feel like it's so special that you let me in and talk to me and let me look at your chart and witness your life. That is really one of the cooler things I've ever had the privilege of doing. And I thank you very much. Ecstaticastrology.com if you want a session. Thank you again. Mandy Ray signing off. Have a good one.